What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Roy, accompanied by the one, the only, the Dominican bad man, Sergio, aka the floor price guy. And we're Combat Sport Guys coming back to you with another UFC full card breakdown. This time in the form of UFC 313. We got some gold on the line in the light heavyweight division where Alex Poatan Pereira takes on the number one contender, Magomed Ankalaev. It's going to be a great card. I'm excited to break down this fight. This whole card, actually, I'm excited to break down. But before we do, let's talk about last week. We always aim to remain transparent and accountable in all our picks and all our bets. Last week for UFC 103, I myself went 8 of 10, where my boy over here went 3 of 10. But despite that bad night for my boy, he gave you money, plus money, a hack parasite. At the straight money line bet. A lot of our bets hit. If you look at the screen now, can you make that a little bit bigger?
Yeah.
If you look at the screen now, we gave you Tamarov money line. We gave you Patterson money line. We gave you Hack Parasat money line. We gave you Brundage money line. We gave you Silvia versus Almeida over 1.5 rounds. Mariscal versus Ramo going the distance, and we gave you Manel Cop to win that fight. On that card, what was your biggest takeaway? For me, it was the Ribovich versus Hack Parasat fight. I myself had Ribovich winning that fight, but I'm not upset that they gave it to Hack Parasat. The issue with Ribovich is that he was headhunting, right? He wasn't mixing in the body shots. He wasn't, utilizing the leg kicks and the combinations well enough to secure the second round. The third round he won, arguably, right? But what did you think of that fight? What did you think of the card, actually?
I mean, card was excellent. Like, it's one of the things I said. Like, I'm gonna take a little bit more chance than I would, and like, let's go with Hazarak first, right? Hazarak,
Yeah.
GG's to him. I won on a positive because of him.
Yeah.
If not, I would have been down badly. Nazarak at a plus 215. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, like I'm trying to look for more value now more than ever. But that was a close fight. Listen, the reality is, like, we spoke about it briefly. My guy, if Ribovov would have switched it up in the second round or the first round, he would have taken the fight. It's just
Yeah.
the first. I gave the first two rounds to Nasrak. The third one, like, there was a cat that bets, and it was like, oh, just that knee wants to fight.
Yeah.
No,
Get out of here, bro.
you didn't wobble him. You just
Yeah.
cut him. So I don't know, bro. But Austin Lane was another big pick. And, I was telling you before we started recording, if Austin Lane would have kept the game plan, he would have won. But he started getting a little bit wild in the second, and Pinto capitalized.
Yeah.
He needed to fight like he fought the Robelis, because he didn't fight Robelis like he fought Pinto. He fought Robelis close, and that's what he did in the first round. So, I mean, I hope he doesn't get cut and he kind of learns, because he is becoming a better striker. It reminds me a little bit of the guy they cut, the football player, Hardy, a little bit. So we'll see. And then takeaways. It was a good fight overall. Manel Cape. I didn't report this, but I put money over in this on the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And brother, I'm not liking these eye pokes. This eye poke shit is getting out of hand.
I
Yeah.
honestly think had the situation with Henry Cejudo not happened last week, the eye pokes would have been taken a little bit more seriously in this fight, right? Because even though Amabayev called for the timeout, they reviewed it very quickly and they said, "Oh, it's nothing," right? But when they broke it down in between the rounds, you could see that the eye poke was there, right, as he scraped his eye, and he did it more than once. So I'm not saying that that's what caused him to lose, because he was already losing the fight, but it does have some form of effect, right? As he's running away, he's saying he can't see, right? He's asking for timeout. It sucks to see, but Cap won. And another thing is Danny Barlow, losing to Sam Patterson, right? One of the things we talked about, and one of the things that I said was, this is Patterson at welterweight, right? When he was at lightweight, he got knocked out by a smoosh, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, he got knocked out by a smoosh. Oh, he's gonna get starched by Barlow." But I wasn't too impressed from what I saw from Barlow in reviewing tape, right? He's gone 3 rounds with Vertenikov, right? He was not able to put him out, and we saw him get beat by Vanderford. And I think Patterson at welterweight looks a lot better. He's a lot more filled, right? He has that frame. He's long, and he kind of shut everybody up, proving that he could strike with somebody who's a potent striker that everybody thought he was going to knock out. So I'm happy for that. That was a good pick. We made some people some money. Some people continue to follow us. Make sure you hit the bell on X. We go live every fight card. For every UFC card, we do the immediate fight analysis where we give you the round by round breakdown, and we also include the live odds and how it changes. We also put out our bets on Thursday or Friday, depending on our schedules, for you guys to consider, to tell, to look at, and to discuss, right? We also give you live bets. We've been killing it with the live bets, right? We've given you live bets. We gave you, I think the best one we've done so far since we've been doing the live bets is, was it Pavlovich? It was Pavlovich, right? Via decision at a plus 1400 up against Rosenstruck. So make sure you tap in on X because we are active there. We do engage. We do give you some props live. Without further ado, let's get into our breakdown for UFC 313. I'm excited for this one, man.
Let's get it.
Kicking off the card, we have some middleweights in. How would you say that name? Jordan. Man. We'll say Jordan.
We're gonna skip this one, Doug.
Jordan Santos up against Ozzy Diaz. Diaz is 9-3-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Ming Yang Zhang via KO TKO. Santos is 10-1-0 and is 5-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Will Curry via unanimous decision. Now, Santos is pretty well-rounded. He doesn't excel necessarily anywhere, but he's good with the striking. He's good with the grappling. And he's really good in the clinch, right? He has good 1-2 combos to close in that distance and get the clinch. He has durability, and he adapts throughout the 3 rounds. We saw that in his Dana White Contender Series fights. He didn't get a finish in the Contender Series, but he is riding a 5-fight win streak. Diaz, on the other hand, he's a former LFA middleweight champ. He has power. He has the grappling. A lot of people looked at his last fight against Ming Yang Zhang and be like, damn, he got KO'd, he got chinned, but that was at light heavyweight. He's now dropping back down to middleweight where he's kind of like started. So he might look a bit more comfortable there if you're thinking of betting that side. But I think Santos, being well-rounded, being the more patient fighter, having good takedown defense, I think he's gonna win this fight. I'm gonna go for Jordan Santos to take the victory here.
Diaz looked a little bit fluffy in his last fight. We did pick Zhang to win. That fight was in Macau, right? Macau,
I believe so.
Yeah, Zhang is an animal. Can I be honest with you? It's a hard one. Yeah. I like at King's MMA. I like how this kid moves. He's a little bit slow at light heavyweight. That's what I find. I don't know how it's going to translate when he drops down to a division. It's 20 pounds. So cardio should be good. Speed advantage should be there. I look at the discrepancy in the reach, and it's a big reach. And I was looking at Santos, and Santos is good, but he's not a brawler, right? He's not going to come in the inside and overhand you and do certain things. I'm going to make my pick after the weigh-in for this one. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been struggling a little bit with this one. Like I said, I like the plus money. I don't think my guy is a minus 185. This fight is even. It's just, you look at it like this guy has won no UFC fights, the Contender Series lost, got signed because they needed a replacement guy. They got him in. So, yeah, I just want to look at how Diaz looks prior to this fight and to make a decision.
Yeah, and another interesting,
he looked fluffy at light heavy.
And another interesting thing is that Diaz hasn't gone the distance. He hasn't gone to a decision, right? So how is he going to look in the later rounds, right? Not having the victory there. How's Santos going to look? I think, Santos with his patience and his speed and his takedown defense, I think he can get it done, man. So I'm gonna stick with the pick in Santos here, but
yeah, I'll decide after the win.
Right on. Cool. We'll move on here to our next bout. We have a bantamweight bout in Chris Gutierrez taking on John Castaneda. Gutierrez is 21-5-2 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Quang Lee via unanimous decision. Castaneda is 21-7-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Daniel Marcos via unanimous decision. Now, Castaneda was supposed to be on the UFC 103 card, but there were some weight issues. That fight got scrapped. Now he's in here facing off against Chris Gutierrez. Different fight. I had picked Castaneda to win over Silva de Andrade, right? I think I picked him when we did our breakdown. And I think you picked Silva de Andrade, right? We were on opposing ends. But I think for this fight, styles make matchups. I'm going to change my pick here. I'm going to go with Gutierrez, man. He's the underdog. And the reason is because Gutierrez, when you look at him, he's a precise technical striker with the kickboxing base. I think the leg kicks here are going to be the differentiating factor. I think he's going to, because when you look at Castaneda, he struggled against people with good striking, right? Like you see the Daniel Marcos fight. He's a good striker. But he's a dog. And Castaneda, being a versatile striker with crisp boxing, I think he's just gonna get outworked here, man, by Gutierrez, who has the striking, he has the kicking ability and the takedowns if he needs to. So I'm gonna go with Castaneda here to win. Gutierrez. I'm sorry, I said Castaneda. Gutierrez.
Castaneda. I don't know. I didn't feel so comfortable with him. I think the more polished striker is Gutierrez. Gutierrez, the evolution of his, he took my guy to a unanimous decision. Yodong is on a different level. I think Yodong is top 5 now, top 10, top 5. And this is the guy, I mean, look, he's fought a lot of, tough opponents like Pedro Munoz before, I think Pedro Munoz was declining, but Pedro Munoz is still a dog. He's still good. He still has it. Zedong, tough fight. I think Gutierrez gets it done. Yeah, just like his striking a little bit more. He knocked out my boy Frankie Edgar. Can't forgive him for that, but hey, we're still picking Gutierrez.
Yeah, and then Castaneda kind of struggles up against people who apply the pressure. They throw with volume, and I think Marcos is going to do that for these 3 rounds. He's going to go out there. He's going to chop the leg kicks. He's going to keep it at range. He's going to throw some nice combinations. I like the dog here in Gutierrez. I think he's going to get it done. So we're both going Gutierrez. We'll move on here to our next fight. Some featherweights going at it. Myron Santos up against Francis Marshall. Santos is 14-1-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Con Oakley via KO. Marshall is 8-2-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Dennis Bazooka via split decision. Now, when you look at this fight, it's like a striker versus wrestler, right? Striker versus grappler. Santos is a dynamic striker. He's a kickboxer. He has that Muay Thai background. He throws good combinations and solid leg kicks. He's well-rounded. He has good takedown defense, and he looks for the finish in his fights. I think he's young. He's aggressive. He's a good prospect. You look at the side of Marshall. He's a Division I collegiate wrestler. He loves grappling. He leans towards grappling. It's kind of his bread and butter. His striking is okay, but it's not the best. He trains at AT&T. So if you're on the side of Marshall, I could see why you're choosing Marshall, because he trains with killers, right? He trains with Masvidal. He trains with Grant Dawson, and he can hold up for 3 rounds, right? But I think here, Santos, a takedown defense is going to hold up enough to not get control on the ground. I think he's going to keep the fight standing. I think he's going to get it done. I like Myron Santos here. I picked against him in the contender series. The tough finale. I went Con Oakley in that fight, but I was impressed from what I saw, and I think he's developing. I think he's gonna surprise you. I think he's gonna get it done. So,
pick is Santos, but value is on Marshall. I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. If the odds go a little bit higher up, I might throw a live bet at $5. $5 makes me $15, $20 altogether. It's just you can't ignore it plus 290. Things to kind of look out. Gomes is a stud. Though Gehring at the time was undefeated, I still think he's undefeated. He's fought top opposition. So I mean, look, if the value continues to run up, let's see what my odds say. There it is, the plus 260. If it runs up a little bit more, I'm more than happy to kind of scoop. The pick is Santos, but the bet at a minus 375, Roy, there's no value. Sorry. There's no value. Minus 375.
So you're going with Santos, correct? Is that what you're saying? So we're both going with Santos here.
This was the opening line for John Jones versus Stipe Miocic on minus 375. So what are we doing here? That's insane.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be upset if you went on the side of Marshall if you think he's gonna go in there, take him down, control him right for those 3 rounds, and not let him breathe. Take away his, his Muay Thai, his striking, his kicks, and all that. But I think his takedown defense is good enough to bring this fight up to its feet to keep it standing. To chop him down and keep him at range. And what's the reach? Let's see the reach. Oh, they're pretty even. All right, yeah. So I think it's gonna be interesting. I think Santos gets it done though.
I think more importantly, the question would be when did Marshall go from lightweight to featherweight? Because even though he's big, he might be the bigger fighter. So, like I said, I will go with Santos. Maybe in the I'll take a look at how he looks on the way in as well.
Okay. So we're both picking Santos for this fight. Next up, we have Alex Morono taking on Carlos Leal. Morono is 24-11-0 and is 2-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Daniel Rodriguez via split decision. Leal is 21-6-0 and is 3-5 in the last 5 bouts, last losing to Renat Fakhretdinov via split decision, where a lot of people felt that he was robbed in that fight. He looked good. He came out. He applied the pressure. And, some accusations about him being on the juice, who knows? But he looked good in that fight. It was his UFC debut. I think the odds for this fight are a little crazy, a little disrespectful, -600 for Leal, whereas Morono is at a +430. I do think Leal takes this fight, right? He's the former the welterweight champion for the LFA organization. He has a well-rounded game. He has powerful striking. He pushes forward. He's also good on the ground. He's aggressive. He's a forward pressure moving striker. And in his UFC debut, he looked good, man. He showed resilience. He showed dominance in certain aspects. And I think up against a Morono who's kind of inconsistent in the sense that, he's a durable individual. He has high pace, sneaky submissions. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he never uses it. My man came out with his black belt. Remember against Rodriguez, he came out with his black belt. And when he came out in that entrance, I think I messaged you. I was like, "Oh, my boy's getting ready to grapple. He, watch out for those lives, for those live props." What happened? He didn't use it at all. And I think it's going to be a lot of the same in this fight. I think he's going to, look to engage with Leal, get hurt, and I think Leal gets it done, man. I think Leal has the mindset that, okay, I got robbed out of a decision win last time. I'm going to make sure it doesn't go to the cards here, and I'm going to look for that finish. So I'm going to go with Carlos Leal to get it done as the pick. The bet's probably going to be Leal inside the distance. I got to see the odds for that. See if it's a lot better than a -600.
If it's juicy, man.
Yeah, if it's juicy.
Roy, right now, he's sitting at a -850.
For inside the distance?
No. Just for the win. For the win.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't like that. Let's see inside the distance, because there's no value of -850.
No. And obviously, what have we learned in the past? When you have a big favorite like this, everybody's gonna throw it in their parlays, right? Everyone's gonna throw in their parlay. So just be careful with that. Go ahead.
You'll like this one. +140. Fight will go the distance.
Yeah,
fight will go the distance +140. -185. It doesn't go the distance.
Okay, see, that's a good parlay piece right there. The -140, you slap that with something else, get some plus money on it. So I'll play around with it once the odds drop for me. The props actually.
We're going with Leal, bro. That guy wasn't juice. He was just too good. He was too strong, and if I remember, bro came in. He was getting tired at the end.
Yeah,
but he was able to wrestle that man. And Morono is not what he once was. By that default, I have to go with Leal. But again, prop bet, fight. He might survive. He might survive, Roy. He might survive. So we'll see.
Right on. He might survive. We're going both for Leal to pull out the victory here.
This is a good one. +175, Carlos Leal by points.
If it goes to decision. But are you banking on it going to a decision?
No. By points. Whoever scores the most points, no decision.
Okay.
That's
a good one.
I made a bet one time where I got super fucked. Mike, the Burlington guy fought Neil Magny.
Yeah.
And he had a stellar first and second round, beating him by points. And then Neil knocked him out. But prior to knocking him out, he pounded him.
Mm-hmm.
I lost. Mikey lost, but I won in points. So That was
Right
bad.
on. We'll move on here to a middleweight bout. We have Bruno Ferreira taking on Armen Petrosyan. Ferreira is 12-2-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Abus Magomedov via submission. Petrosyan is 8-4-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Shara Magomedov via KO, where he was hit with that double back fist. This is an interesting fight, man. You got striker versus striker here. You have Pereira, who's a powerhouse. He's known for his devastating knockout ability. He has 10 of his 12 victories coming via KO, TKO. He's aggressive. He moves forward. He's explosive. He averages about 7.8 strikes per minute. He issues is his gas tank, right? We have seen him kind of deplete, like his gas tank deplete and his volume deplete as the fight progresses. We noticed that, I think, in the Dustin Stolfoots fight, even though he won that fight. We saw it in the Abus Magomedov fight. The thing is, I think he is his forward pressure, aggressive nature leaves him open to getting hit, right? But I don't think he has much to worry about here, because this is the first time in a long time that he's going up against a pure striker in Armen Petrosyan, right? Who's a technical kickboxer with the Muay Thai background. He's 6'3" with the 70-inch reach. It gives him advantage in maintaining distance and setting up his combinations, utilizing his kicks and whatnot. He likes throwing leg kicks to his opponent's calf to kind of chop him down. He has gone the distance, so his cardio is not an issue. So if you're on the side of Armen Petrosyan, you're probably banking on the fact that he survives the first, maybe the second round, and then he outworks him, he outvolumes him, he outstrikes him, right? He hurts him. But if you're on the side of Pereira, right? He has that good boxing, he has that judo background. I think he does have the grappling if need be, but he throws those overhands. I think coming off of a knockout, how's Petrosyan going to look? Because we talk about this often. When you come off of a knockout, a loss, people often come out gun shy, right? They come out gun shy. They're a little timid. They have that PTSD. How is he going to look? I think I'm going to go with Fereira. I like him as a dog here. I think he's going to bounce back, because when I watched him up against Abus Magomedov, he was hurting him. But just he got caught in the submission, right? And that's how she wrote. But I think he gets it done here. I think he gets back in the W column. This is a fun fight.
I think Petrosyan is the quicker fighter.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. Petrosyan is the quicker fighter. He's going to have a little bit more speed. Abus had that issue where he exploded, got tired, and then ended up getting the submission. But that was scary, right? Because I put money on Abus. I like the range. The range of Armen is going to be an issue. If he could kind of stay behind the jab and the cross, pick his shots, I think he wins. Leg kicks, right? Even though my man. So what I think is going to happen is, like, and again, in an ideal world, is Fereira comes. My God, Fereira comes in, throws a leg kick. If Armen is able to kind of clap him down, he's going to have good success with the jab, with the cross. But he needs to be able, because Fereira is very talented with the leg kicks, but the reach is an issue. That's 5 inches. That's 11, 12. You have 3 more. Let's say 4. That 4 inches makes a little bit of a discrepancy. So I don't know, man. The other question is it too soon? But the double knockout was kind of like a stun knockout. Like, it was just weird. And, like, what's crazy? These guys have, like, Petrosyan has a loss against Berlao, top 5, top 6 now. Gregory Rodriguez, an animal. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Petrosyan. I'm not comfortable in this fight. Like, I would kind of look at the live bet just to kind of see.
Yeah, and you got to look at his striking defense, right? He's at a 53%, right? So if Bruno Ferreira comes out swinging, he comes out wild like we expect him to do, he has the likelihood of getting hit, right? Getting his lights put out again. So we'll see what happens. I think this is going to be a good fight. It's going to be a fun fight. I think Pereira does get it done, though, man. I'm going to go with Fereira. You're going to go with Petrosyan. We'll see what happens. Next up, we have some flyweights going at it. We have Joshua Van up against Ray Tsuruya. Now, Let's see. Tsuruya is 10-0. He's undefeated and is 5-5 in their last five bouts. Last beating Carlos Fernandez via unanimous decision. You have Joshua Van, who is 12-2-0 and is 4-5 in their last five bouts. Last beating Cody Durden via unanimous decision. We've broken Van down multiple times on this channel, right? Van is a volume striker. He has great pace. He has precise combinations, great boxing. He starts up to the body, finishes at the head. He's comfortable in the pocket. He throws 1-2s very nice, very slick, and he throws in some knees in there. His grappling defense is good against, decent grapplers. We haven't seen him fight higher level grapplers yet. So we don't know exactly how well his takedown defense holds up. But considering that, I think his takedown defense is gonna hold up against Tsuruya. Tsuruya is an elite grappler. He has a strong wrestling base. He's capable of chaining takedowns and dominating in top position. He can scramble, get busy on the ground. He looks for submissions or ground and pound. His cardio, however, might be an issue, right? In his Carlos Hernandez bout, he did look kind of tired towards the second and third round. And I think Van here, he's these guys are so young, man. How old is Van? I think he's 23, isn't he?
It's a kid, yeah.
Yeah, he's 23 years young, and I think he's developing and he's getting better each time. When he got knocked out by Charles Johnson, right? A lot of people were counting him out. Remember, we talked about it when at the Sphere when he came in on late notice, on short notice up against Chaires, and you were like, I don't know how he's gonna look, man. He just got knocked out. How's his mind gonna be? But we both ended up picking him. I think did you pick him?
I bet on Van.
Yeah, I
Van
think
was the pick.
we
Yeah.
both picked and bet on Van, and he looked great in that fight. And then you have the Cody Durden fight, right? Everybody on X, everybody was saying, oh, Cody Durden's going to wrestle him. He's going to take away his striking. He's going to fucking maul him. He's going to look like Nurmagomedov out there. What happened? He snuffed a lot of the takedowns. He kept the fight standing, and he pieced them up, and he won that fight. He looked good. And I think he's continuously going to develop and get better. I'm going to go with Van here. I think his takedown defense holds up enough to keep the fight standing. And if he does get taken down, he's going to bring it back up to his feet.
Yeah.
Tsuruya is this is going to be a good challenge for him. He doesn't have the striking there, and I think that's where the difference is going to be. I'm going to go with Van.
And to take consideration, Cody Durden, I think he dropped divisions, and he was the bigger fighter. He was massive.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that fight at the beginning, I'm like, bro, like he expanded so much energy and took him down. And one of the things we say in this channel is energy. Like you're gonna waste a lot of energy, my boy. You better get him out of there. But he didn't. He didn't get him out, and he paid the ultimate price. So it is what it is. The pick is Van. I didn't like Tsuruya has very good grappling, but my man Van has the American wrestling. So I just think he's going to be able to, like you said, stop the takedown, make him pay for it, because Tsuruya does not have striking. He does. And he has the longer reach, but I don't think he does anything with it, to be honest.
And it's going to be telling, right? It's going to be telling once that first takedown is thrown, and if he's able to take him down with ease and control him, we're going to have to be monitoring those live odds. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think he does maybe get a takedown or two, and then Van brings it back up and then just, utilizes his boxing.
I hope it happens the same as Cody Durden, where Cody Durden went ballistic on the first round and spent so much energy, gets the first round, but that's it, baby.
Yeah.
So.
No, and I like Van. I think he's an exciting prospect, man. He's like, I haven't picked against him yet. I picked him in all the fights that we've covered him, and I think he's gonna be a problem in the division, man. As he gets better, as he gets older, I like Van. I like his boxing. He's a little smaller, right? He's 5'5". In the flyweight division, in the flyweight division, he's 5'5", so a little smaller, but I think he's good, man. I like Van.
Yes,
Next
sir.
up, we have our what's up?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. Next up, we have our featured prelim. We have one of your favorite fighters, Curtis Blaydes, taking on Rizvan Kuniev. Blaydes is 18-5-0 and is 3-5 in their last five bouts, last losing to Tommy Aspinall via KO. Kuniev is 13-2-1 and is 4-5 in their last five bouts, last beating Hugo Kuna via KO. Blaydes has a wrestling background. He's a powerhouse. He has the most takedowns in UFC heavyweight division and heavyweight history. I'm sorry. But he hasn't been using his grappling as of late, right? He has functional striking. He uses his jabs, his low kicks to set up his takedowns. He's durable, though he's vulnerable up against elite KO artists. We've seen him get knocked out by Ngannou. We've seen him get knocked out by Pavlovich, by Aspinall. He's fighting against an individual who, he's well rounded, right? He's coming from the PFL. I'm sorry, PFL. He has a 2023 win over Renan Fereira that they're going to talk about, I'm pretty sure, right? And then turned into a no contest due to him failing a drug test. I think, him making his UFC debut up against somebody who just challenged for the title is kind of crazy, right? Isn't that kind of crazy? Like you go from fighting for the title to fighting somebody debuting. And I think Blaydes is going to get it done here, man. I think he's going to wreck this guy. I think, yeah, I'm going to go with Blaydes here, man. I think the
They don't,
experience,
yeah.
the skill set is going to be too much for Homeboy here.
Well, and they don't really respect Blaydes, right? Blade is a
Mm-mm.
little bit out. Blade is just one of these guys that's just like he's meant to go, and he's fought good opposition, bro. He hasn't turned out any fights, and
Yeah.
Almeida was on the rise, and look, Almeida's a top 5 fighter now. Almeida is up and coming, so
Yeah.
you get it done. I think Pavlich is like the man. It's just right now he's a little downhill, and he's trying to get back his strength. So it's just man. But I'll say this: I'm gonna go with Blaydes. Rizvan looks low. The issue happens is I think the biggest thing that could potentially happen is basically Kuniev gets him on the cage, starts swarming on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's gonna give you the knockout. I think this is not a Derek Lewis situation. This is just gonna be a situation where he's gonna grapple you.
Yeah.
So
and then another thing with Kuniev is we haven't seen his, durability, his cardio, in the UFC as it progresses, right? And I think Blaydes is gonna take him into deep water, man. I think he's gonna take him to deep water, and we're gonna see what happens, right? Because he has the experience. He's fought the tougher competition. Yeah. And I think it's disrespectful, man. You go from fighting the title to fighting a debutant. How would you feel? What would your mindset be like? Okay, this is where you view me. All right, I'm gonna show you what's up.
I'm gonna score him up. But will this fight go to decision? Yes, plus 135, minus 170. I think here man, it's crazy because this could be a TKO by Blade.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that once they drop on my end to see the inside the distance. I like that as a prop for Blaydes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, that was our featured prelim. Moving into the main card, make sure you hit the like, make sure you hit the subscribe, make sure you comment, make sure you show some love. We're giving you free game here. At the end of the day, these are all opinions, right? Do what you want with your money. Kicking off the main card, we have Mauricio Ruffy taking on King Green. Hoofy. I'm Mexican, bro. I always have to roll my R's. I have to remember that these Brazilians, they don't use the R's like we do. I gotta say Mauricio Hoofy, not Ruffy. Hoofy. I don't know how you Dominicans do. How do you Dominicans say it?
It's Ruffy.
There we go. Green, who changed his name from Bobby to King Green. I'm gonna call you what your mama named you, right? I'm gonna call you what your mama named you. Bobby. Bobby Green is 32, 16-1, and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last losing to Paddy Pimblett via submission. Remember when I made that Paddy Pimblett pick and everybody was talking crap to me on X? Everyone was like, "Oh, you're fucking crazy. He's gonna knock this kid out. He's gonna beat the out of this kid." And I was like, "All right, it's okay."
All right.
And when Paddy Pimblett got that submission, I just posted the GIF of Paddy dancing and got a lot of likes, a lot of engagement.
He's Paddy the body.
Hoofy is 11-1-0 and is 5-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating James Lontop via unanimous decision. He is a part of the core 4 indie fighting nerds, along with Kyle Barallo, Carlos Prates, and Gene Silva, right? I like the core 4. People who train with the fighting nerds haven't won. Like, it's kind of interesting, right? Like, people go to their camp to train with them, like Mayra Buena Silva, Bruna Brasil, Ricardo Ramos. Like, they all train with the fighting nerds and they've all lost. So I'm only sticking to the core 4. Next time I hear someone say, "Oh, they train with the fighting nerds," not interested. Not interested. Anyways, Hoofy has that bladed stance, right? That fucking iconic stance that reminds us of Conor McGregor, right? He's athletic, he's explosive, he's a great striker with a high finishing rates. He's finished 10 of his 11 UFC wins via knockout, not just in the UFC. Recent form, he enters on a 6-fight win streak, including a highlight reel knockout on Jamie Mullarkey in his UFC debut at UFC 301. And then he had that unanimous decision win over James Lontop, where people question his cardio and his endurance. But you have to remember in that James Lontop fight, James Lontop came in what, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, or was it 10, 15, 20 pounds overweight? It was his last UFC fight. It was a
Yeah, he
bigger
went
fight.
over. He went way
It,
over.
it was the first time we saw him go the distance, but I think he was just going up against a way bigger fighter, right? And it kind of threw him off a bit, but he still looked good in that fight. He's lightning fast. He has devastating power. He has creative spinning attacks and a knack for timing counters. He's young. He's athletic, and he's going up against somebody in King Green, right? When you look at King Green, he's slick, unorthodox striker. He has good Brazilian jiu-jitsu and veteran savvy. He is 1-2 in his last three. He lost via submission to Paddy Pimblett, as we mentioned. He beat did he beat Jim Miller or did he lose? No, Jim Miller won that fight, right?
No. He beat the brakes out of Jim.
He beat Jim Miller, right? Yeah, okay. He beat
Yeah, he
Jim.
beat
I
the
don't know why I
brakes
thought
out of
Jim Miller
him,
win. He beat Jim Miller, and then he had uh 2-fight finish streak up against Grant Dawson and Tony Ferguson. So he's fought tough competition, right? This is going to be Hoofy's toughest test in going against a King Green. Now he has 50 pro fights, so there is some wear and tear, right? There is some damage that boy is taking. He's durable. He has a crisp jab. He has good counter striking. He excels at touching opponents with straight punches and pulling back to avoid damages. He keeps his distance. But as with everything, age, reaction time diminishes. Your chin isn't as durable as it is when you're younger. And when you get tired and vulnerable, you drop your hands. And what's going to happen when you drop your hands? You're going to be open to a shot. I think this being Hoofy's biggest test, I still think he gets it done here. I think Hoofy's going to win this fight. I'm going to go with Hoofy. Give me youth. Give me life. Give me speed.
Yeah, the reach is an issue against a fighter this good. Bobby has tremendous ability, like countering abilities, but the fact that he doesn't really defend his what do you call it? He doesn't really. He's chinny now. Like it's just we got to take consideration that, man. Ruffy, I love Green, but this is. I mean, I think I'm gonna parlay Ruffy with Blaydes and Van. That's what I was doing. I was just putting a little bet right now.
Nice.
Parlay these boys. Yeah, I think Ruffy gets it done, Blaydes gets it done, and Van gets it done.
Nice, interesting. Yeah, I think that's not bad. I think Hoofy does get it done. What's up?
Plus 144.
Okay. But I think the issue in that one is out of those three, you said Hoofy, Van, and
Blaydes.
And Blaydes. Who do you think, if it were to get messed up, who do you think it messed up?
Van, if
he's controlled, huh?
If the guy gets control on the ground, but bro, like his last fight, like I said, like it doesn't get tougher than Cody, man. So I think it hits.
Yeah, I like Van, man. I hope he pulls it out.
Yeah.
All right, we're both going with Hoofy to get it done here. King Green said something interesting in the interview today, right? He said that loss to Paddy Pimblett was like slipping on a banana peel, like when you play Mario Kart. It's just slipping on a banana peel. But I don't know, man. He got outworked by Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah, Paddy has just become that good.
Paddy's good, man. A lot of people just dislike him, right? They just like him because of his antics on X, and he talks crap against people's favorite fighters, right? He goes after Renato Moicano, he goes after Ilia Topuria. So obviously you're gonna garner hate when you're talking crap to fan favorites, right?
That's why he's a draw. That's why he's been compared to Conor McGregor in the past, but the reality is like if that kid wins the belt, bro, UK. I'll say this, bro, with the utmost respect. Paddy's better for business than Toss Aspinall. How about that?
All right. Well, he is fighting Michael Chandler in April, so we'll talk more about Paddy Pimblett then. Next up, we have our only women's bout on this card. We have the veteran and Amanda Lemos taking on the youngster and the 23-year-old Yasmin Lucindo. Lemos is 14-4-1 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Verna Jandiroba via submission. Lucindo is 17-5-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Marina Rodriguez via split decision. I remember that fight. You had picked Rodriguez, I remember, right? And I had picked Lucindo. It was a close fight. When you look at Lemos, she's a power punching striker with knockout ability and good grappling. She is 1-2 in her last three, right? She's coming off a submission loss to Verna, as we mentioned at UFC Vegas. Before that, she beat Mackenzie Dern via decision, and then she lost a title bid to Zhang Wei Li in 2023. She's 8-4-1 in the UFC with notable knockouts over Marina Rodriguez, who lost to Yasmin Lucindo, and Michelle Waterson Gomez. Like I mentioned, she's explosive in the striking. Her right hand, she carries some of the division's heaviest power. She's durable, has a decent enough ground game when needed. But the issue, as with every other fighter, is the age, right? Is she declining? Does she still have it to compete at the top, right? She's coming off that submission loss. She struggled up against elite grapplers like Jandiroba and Wei Li, and her takedown defense is at a 54%, which can be exploited if she's going up against decent grapplers. You look at Lucindo, she has 2.5 takedowns per minute. She's an aggressive, high volume striker and is improving her grappling. She is on a 4-fight win streak in the UFC. She beat Jasmine Jaregui in her debut, and then she's beat Carolina Kowalkiewicz, Marina Rodriguez, Poliana Viana, Brogdon Walker. She's young, she's relentless, she's versatile, she has crisp striking and willingness to wrestle when needed. She's improving her defensive wrestling with 70% takedown defense. Her issue is, as a younger fighter, she isn't as technical with her striking. She has some wild strikes, which could leave her open for some counter, right? Especially going up against somebody like Lemos, who can find the chin if she's too reckless. But I think Lucindo here, being younger, getting better, she does train with Jandiroba, who just beat Lemos. So I'm pretty sure, with that, having that training partner on your side is going to be helpful, right, on this fight. So I'm going to go with Lucindo, man. I think she gets it done here. If this goes to a decision, I could see it going, split decision for either fighter. But I think Lucindo is going to put the pressure, put the pace, and get it done. I like Lucindo, man.
What's the finish for Lemos? Well, if I go to this is minus 225.
Yeah, it's women's MMA, man. That's what they're banking on.
Yeah, we definitely are not doing that. I'm gonna go with Lemos. I just think she's more battle proven.
It's a 14-year difference. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that my girl, I think this is her first time. I think Maria, there was a time where she was like a top contender, but that was a while ago. So I'm gonna go with Lemos. I think Lemos still has the power, the quickness, the speed. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. So we'll see.
plus
That's what
17.
Yeah, we'll find out.
So plus 17. So let's see if my girl can get it done. Very interesting fight, I have to say.
I can see it. If it goes to a split decision, I could see the judges, some fuckery, because they have been on some bullshit the past. Excuse my language. They have been on some crap the past 2 cards, right? So it can go either way, man. If it does go to a decision, but we'll see. Next up, we have Jalen Turner taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. This is gonna be a banger, man, in my opinion. Some lightweight action. Turner is 14-8-0 and is 2-5 in their last 5 bouts. Losing to Renato Moicano via KO ground and pound. Now, if you're looking at that loss and you think, oh man, he got beat by Renato Moicano, that's bad, man. How do you get KO'd by Renato Moicano, who's not a striker, right? He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. No, he had that fight won. He knocked him out, remember? And my boy, what happened? He got cocky. He turned around. He thought he had the walk-off knockout, and sure enough, my boy had a second chance of life. He came back and he got the finish. So he's going up against Ignacio Bahamondes, who is 16-5-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Manuel Torres via KO at UFC Noche Latina. Now, Bahamondes, he's a long technical striker with knockout power and a strong kicking game. And I think that's where the differentiating factor is going to be here. It's going to be in the kicks. He has exceptional reach for the division and height. He has elite kicking, crisp boxing. He has 11 career knockouts, showcasing his finishing ability. The thing is, he can be vulnerable if the fight gets into the pocket and he gets pressured. His grappling does remain kind of untested up against top tier wrestlers, but I don't think that's going to be an issue in this fight because he's going up against Turner, who's a dynamic, rangy striker with knockout power and sneaky submission game. He's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he's 1-3 in his last four. He's coming off that second round loss to Renato Moicano, as we mentioned. Before that, he had the KO over Bobby Green, right? And then he um, lost to Dan Hooker and Mateus Gamrot, both in split decision. So he's been through some wars. He has fought tougher competition. This is another big test for Bahamondes. His test was Manuel Torres. A lot of people thought that Manuel Torres was going to come out. He was going to get the knockout, right? He was going to starch him. But what happened? He proved everybody wrong, right? He ended up knocking him out in that fight. So I think this is going to be an exciting fight. This is a big test for Bahamondes, but I think with him training with the welterweight champ in Bilal Muhammad, that camp, I think he's going to come in prepared. I think if the fight, however, for some reason goes to the ground, he's going to be all right. But I think the kicks here are going to be the key difference. I'm going to go with Bahamondes to get it done. I like his striking, man. He has more striking versatility here.
Yeah, and I was gonna pick Turner, but I'm gonna go with Bahamondes. Shout out to the Bahamondes brother. He has 3 brothers. I was just looking at that right now because I'm like, what is this? Jaula Bahamondes. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is the first time. I don't recall that Turner's training with RVCA, and that's basically the camp of Pereira. But Bahamondes look good. It's taking a little bit more time than what he needed, 10 months to recover. Could have won the fight with Moicano, just, paid the decision. The split decisions are good. I would say that this is the first real test that Bahamondes has. Torres was a good win, but it wasn't it was like a prospect. This is a real test. Gets in here, he's going to fight top ranked fighters going forward. So.
And one of the things you mentioned when we were off air, I don't know if you want to talk about it, is Turner has fought against smaller fighters, right? Like he's always had the height advantage and the reach advantage. This time he's going up against somebody with similar height. They're both at 6'3", and they both have 75.5-inch reach, right? So it's going to be interesting, right? It's going to be interesting who gets in close, who maintains the distance. It's going to be very interesting, this fight.
I'll say this. Sometimes you're the best fighter in your ring when you're fighting guys that are your length. And I think he's dominated, right? If he's sparring people, unless he's sparring people that are bigger than him.
Yeah.
This is the first time he's going to fight somebody as big, because these two gentlemen are big. And if I'm not mistaken, there was even a time where Jalen, I want to say, went to welterweight. Am I correct in that? Yes, he did. Look right here. Mm-hmm. So he was in welterweight, and he just cut to a lightweight. So I mean, look, these are massive guys. They've had good success, razor thin decisions here. Hooker, Gamrot. Let's see what happens, but Bahamondes is the pick.
No, yeah, let's see what happens. This is his biggest test. I think Jalen Turner's, is he in the top 15?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I think he's in the top 15. So if Ignacio does dog out a win here, he does have an impressive performance. It gets him into the rankings, man. So I like Bahamondes, though. I think his striking versatility and his leg kicks are really good, man.
Even better, he's the top 13.
Top 13, okay. Yeah, because here, I know there's always a discrepancy here, right? It shows him as 15 here, but I wanted to double check. Okay, so yeah, we're going to see, man. I like Bahamondes, though. I like what I've seen, so I think he gets it done. Next up, we have our co-main event. Originally, it was supposed to be Justin Gaethje taking on Dan Hooker, but Dan Hooker suffered a hand injury, which he posted pictures on X, right? Did you see the scar? Like he had stitches on his in between his knuckles. It looked pretty nasty. But filling in for him is I was about to say Rafael, but he's not Brazilian. Is Rafael Fiziev. Yeah, Gaethje is 25-5-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Max Holloway via KO. Fiziev is 12-3-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Mateus Gamrot via KO, right? But he injured his leg in that fight. He has not fought since. He hurt his knee. He's had knee surgery. He had the torn ACL. So, this is an interesting fight. We already know what Gaethje brings to the table. We know what Fiziev is. Let me hear from you. What do you think of this matchup? What do you think of the styles clashing? This is a rematch for the two, with Justin Gaethje winning via majority decision. A lot of people felt that Fiziev could have won that fight. What do you think, man? Who do you got?
Man, you know what? Every time we get to see Gaethje, he becomes more, after a loss. He's come more evolved, more,
Mhm.
technique clean. Carter's gonna be clean. Raphael has that fucking power advantage, and like, look, maybe it's not a full camp. I'm sorry, like, you probably were training, but you weren't training a full camp. Um, Reach goes to Gaethje when it comes to like the height and reach together. Um, People are going to be surprised, man. Like, this is Justin Gaethje, bro. This is a good fighter. I mean, look, Raphael hasn't been active for a year. What about 17 months, brother? 17 months. And how better did he get, though? Because prior to that, he fought Gaethje. So we haven't had a chance to see his evolution as a fighter. I think this is the top pick for me, Gaethje. Gaethje is the top pick.
I think there's two arguments to be made here, right? And this is the narrative that's been happening on X, right, and everywhere, is Gaethje's chin, right? He's coming off of a KO loss. It's been 10 months. Did he take the necessary time to recoup? In those 10 months, is he ready to fight? That's I'm not
Yeah.
saying that myself. You're making these faces like I'm saying that. I'm saying this is what,
No,
what
no, it's
X
the
is doing.
noises. The noises. Sorry.
This is what X is doing.
It's just the noises.
It's what the people are saying. And then Gaethje was training for a 5-round bout. He was gonna go to war with Dan Hooker, and I think he was gonna win that fight. I was gonna choose him to beat Dan Hooker, right? In a 5-round bout. This is now a 3rd-round bout up against an opponent who's coming in on short notice. He said that he has been training for a fight, but how much do we know? There's a difference from training to stay conditioned and training to fight, right? There are two different things.
Yeah.
And he's coming off of that knee surgery, man. Like, he had a torn ACL. Like, how's his movement gonna be? That's my main concern. Like, how's his movement gonna be? How's he gonna look, right? If you look at Fiziev, he has that Muay Thai. He has the fast strikes, the dynamic kicks, the crisp technique. But coming off of that leg injury, man, how are you gonna look? That's my main thing. Like, how's your movement gonna be? Because it changes you, man. You've seen it happen with athletes when they tear their ACL all the time. They're not the same. They don't have the same bounce, the same pep in their step. And I think Gaethje, who has been preparing for a 5-round war, who's now dropping down to a 3-round bout up against somebody in Fiziev who he's beat before, right? You don't think the boys are talking about, okay, this is what we did wrong last time, this is what we're gonna do right this time, right? I think he's gonna incorporate the wrestling more, because that's what won him the first fight. People were like, oh, he had to resort to wrestling to win that fight. Yeah, we could see him do it more in this fight, but I think he gets it done here, man. I don't think he's done. I don't think his chin has given up. I don't think he's gonna get knocked out. People are saying that, oh, his chin is gone, he's gonna get knocked out. I don't see that. I think Gaethje's gonna be in prime shape. He's gonna get it done. He's gonna look good. He's gonna get this done here.
And then let's talk about that loss to Holloway. Like, yeah, I mean, look, like, brother, anybody that's fatigued is going to get knocked out the way he is. When you combine a guy with a broken nose, a guy that's frustrated, he did knock down Holloway. It's just Holloway trained to be explosive. Holloway trained for the cardio, trained to be explosive, busted up his nose. We're talking off the air, that effed up Gaethje. And then in the 3rd round, you got a guy that's fresh versus a guy that can't breathe and is physically fatigued.
5th round.
Yeah. I said 3rd?
5th round.
Yeah, 5th round. That's where the knockout happened. It wasn't that Holloway possesses the power of death. Is that my guy was fatigued. My guy was so fucking tired.
And that's a good point. It wasn't like Holloway caught him in the 2nd round with the counter and knocked him out, right? In the fashion he did. Like, when you look at that knockout, there's a lot of variables to consider, right? Like, as you mentioned, he had his nose broken in the 1st round. So when you break your nose, you're breathing through your mouth. He looked tired. He still dogged it out. And he got knocked out because he challenged him to throw hands the last 10 seconds. So what happens when you throw hands? You're going crazy. You're leaving yourself vulnerable. He got hit. It wasn't like, he got caught with the counter. He got put up against the fence and he was getting beat up. No, it's just you take all those variables into consideration. I think Gaethje is still that guy, man. I think he's gonna come out. He's gonna get a
You
victory.
know what it
I'm
reminds me
surprised.
of? So,
I'm surprised that he's the dog. Though. I'm surprised that he was the favorite up against Hooker, right? And then it changed to Fiziev, and then he became the dog. I wonder. It's interesting.
you know what it
It's
reminds me of? When the Korean Zombie fought Yair Rodriguez,
mm-hmm.
Holloway and Gaethje versus that fight. I think it was the same thing. Like, but this time, my boy was winning the fight. What do you call it? The Korean Zombie, and then both fighters fatigued. Yair stunned them with an upwards elbow, spinning upwards elbow. Bro went down like a light. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But we'll see, bro. Like, anything could happen. I'm just saying. My guy Gaethje has 5 good rounds in him. I haven't even gone to Gaethje's camp to see what he does, but man always trains.
Yeah, and the thing too, like there's obviously concerns from both sides, so I understand both arguments, but I'm gonna go with the Gaethje side here, man. This he's been in training camp. He's was gonna go 5 rounds, now to 3 up against a short notice opponent who had knee surgery, right? Yeah, I'm going with Gaethje here. I like him as a dog.
Gaethje's the pick.
Yeah, Gaethje all day. Next up, we have our main event. We have Alex Poatan Pereira taking on Magomed Ankalaev. Pereira is 12-2-0 and is 5-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last beating Khalil Roundtree via KO in the 4th round, I believe, right? Ankalaev is 21-1 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last beating Rakic via unanimous decision. Now, we know what Pereira brings to the table, right? He has that kickboxing background, that incredible striking pedigree. He has that pinpoint left hook where he just knocks people out, that touch of death, as you like to say. He has those vicious leg kicks that chop you down like a tree. He's at 52% in terms of striking accuracy and 5.40 significant strikes per minute, showcasing that he's an efficient individual. Now, his weaknesses, as everyone is gonna say, is his grappling, right? We have seen him have limited grappling experience and being exposed against wrestlers, right? His takedown defense, however, is at 66% per the UFC. But he has been controlled on the mat. We saw it with Israel Adesanya in their middleweight bout. Now, he's going up against an individual in Ankalaev, right? Who is a rangy striker. He's pretty much well-rounded. He's good everywhere. Ankalaev, when you look at him, a lot of people tout him as this pressure wrestler when he's not even that much of a pressure wrestler. He does mix in takedowns. He does mix in, the ground game, but he's primarily a rangy fighter that looks for entry points if need be. But a lot of people are touting him as this, like, Ankalaev Chimaev or something like that, but I don't see him like that. I think this fight is close, right? It's going to be interesting because we haven't seen Pereira since he's moved up to light heavyweight, other than the John fight, be tested with the grappling. Even in the John fight, like the Blachowicz fight, he was taken down in the first round, right? But then, like in the later rounds, he was able to snuff those takedowns in the 2nd and 3rd round. Like his grappling defense is okay. It's not the best, but it's okay, right? I don't see Ankalaev for 25 minutes taking him down, pursuing takedowns. He's gonna have to set up the takedowns first. And I think that's where there's going to be an issue. I see Pereira in this fight utilizing the leg kicks, utilizing the calf kicks, keeping him at range, not letting him get in close to secure those takedowns, and kind of chopping him down. If Ankalaev gets a takedown, it's going to be interesting because, like I mentioned, we haven't seen him really tested recently, right? He's gone against Jamal Hill, who kept the fight standing, right? He's gone against Khalil Roundtree, who's kept the fight standing. He's gone against Jiri Prohaska, who in their second fight kept the fight standing. In their first fight, did go to the ground. But it's going to be interesting, man. And I think Pereira has been prepping for this. He knows what's to come. He has Glover Teixeira on his side. I think he gets it done here, man. I don't think this fight goes the distance. I think we're going to see in the championship rounds Pereira get into that flow state again, right? Like he did against Khalil Roundtree. And if you remember in the Khalil Roundtree breakdown, I joked about how that fight's going to go to the ground. Well, I'm not joking here, man. I think the fight will be on the ground, but it's going to be interesting to see, man. But Ankalaev is a tough opponent. I don't think he's to be taken lightly. What do you think?
Man, bro, I'm gonna be 100 with you, bro. We talked about this off the air. We get one fighter that we could be biased, and brother, listen. Let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something,
Oh,
brother.
you can't see because your background.
Oh man. Oh, you see
Yeah,
him from here.
you gotta do from far away.
I saw this man live. It's autographed by Poatan, eh?
I saw him live twice too, man. I love Pereira. He's great, but
Uh,
you got to break down the fights for what they are.
I'm a fanboy. But listen, let me tell you
Yeah,
something. This reach is gonna be a problem. This reach is going to be a problem. Expect a similar tactic of what John did to him, but with a polish and furious striking. I think he's prepared for the grappling. What, you take him down? What, are you going to hold him down? Um, bro, like when he fought John, bro, he was getting adjusted to that weight division. He
yeah.
was super
It was his
slow.
first fight, right? It was his first fight in the light
Yeah,
heavyweight. Yeah,
and then he took him to a split decision. I want to say, let me see,
yeah. Double check that.
split
Want to
split
be accurate.
split
Okay.
decision. After that, he's fought four times, going five. John hasn't even fought after that. I'll tell you this, brother. Yeah, the pick is this is give me money. You face the fact that this man's gonna wrestle him, and I don't know, man. The thing is, every fight starts up, starts standing, and this is the issue with Pereira because you have to think that who's the quicker fight? Okay, who's more explosive, Pereira or
Pereira.
Magomed? Okay,
Pereira.
how impressive did Pereira look against Roundtree in the fourth round?
He looked good. Now you can argue that Roundtree was able to clip him and drop him. Like some people do consider that him getting dropped, but do you consider that a knockdown?
Let's say it is. Does
Okay.
Magomed has the same power?
No, I think they're different fighters, right? I think it's different. It's different. They're different strikers, in my opinion. And one of the thing about Ankalaev that we talked about was in his fight against Rakic, right, where he won. We often stated that he had to be undeniable in that fight, right? He didn't lean towards the wrestling in that fight. I don't think he wrestled that much in that fight at all. I don't think he wrestled at all in
He
that
didn't
fight.
wrestle. He didn't wrestle
If
that
I
fight.
remember correctly, he kept the fight standing, and a lot of people kind of criticize him for being boring, right? He wasn't able to get that finish. And what's the one thing we talked about in that fight? We said he had to be undeniable, right? He had to get the knockout in that fight. And I think his game plan here should be to close the distance and secure those takedowns and then get busy on the ground. Don't just rely on controlling him on the ground because he's a big guy, man. He's going to be able to get up. Pereira on his end, he's going to have to utilize the reach, as you mentioned, utilize the leg kicks, because if you look at the Jan and Ankalaev fight, he was hurting him bad with those leg kicks, man. Like he was visibly
It
hurting
was
him
bad.
bad. And I think Pereira is going to do a lot of the same in this fight.
And
Uh,
that doesn't go away, bro. Let's be
yeah,
honest with you, bro. Like that doesn't go away. And then look, I had to pull the fight. He's talking
yeah.
about how he outclassed. No, this fight was actually very like Rakic is a fighter that circles away when he strikes.
Hmm.
Pereira does. Pereira's gonna stay right there. So
Yeah.
I think what's gonna happen in this fight, I mean, it could go two ways. I think either get a war, that's the option, or you have a side where Magomedov always takes him down, controls him on the ground, smothers him like a beep, or you get the other one where he's gonna pick him apart. Magovic's gonna try to come in, and you have to think that they've been working on their extension and back away because he's
Yeah.
very good at that. He's very very good at that.
And one of the things I mentioned earlier was people are touting Ankalaev as a pressure wrestler. He averages 1.85 takedowns per 15 minutes at a 50% accuracy. So let's say, for example, he does take down Pereira in the first round and the second round. You think he's going to have the endurance and the cardio and the pace to do that for 5 rounds?
No, bro.
You,
Look,
you think he's gonna,
look at an example of this. He took John. He two takedowns on John, bro. This is why it's just like if he was like Habib style, I'd be concerned.
yeah.
I'd be like, fuck this guy.
I think the issue is a lot of people see the last name. They see that he's from Russia, right? The Dagestani. They often assume he is a pressure wrestler, but he's not. He's a long range striker who mixes in the grappling if needed. That's pretty much what he is, and he's good at it. Yeah, but I think Pereira gets it done here, man. I think Pereira gets it done here. You set up the fight with him and John Jones after, and then he goes off to boxing, man.
Nah, I think he'll fight Usyk before John Jones.
You think
Because
he'll fight Usyk before John Jones?
I mean, they just announced Dana White's partnership with the Prince.
Yeah.
So the way that's gonna work is basically like they say there's no cross fighters, but come on, that opens up the cross fighting. That opens up
Of course,
TKO
on his end, right? You're gonna
allowing a similar to McGregor. Because what are you gonna tell me? If you're gonna tell me if who's a bigger fight at this point, John and Pereira?
Yeah.
Like it is, but then Pereira and Usyk is a big fight. Like
yeah, it's money.
so
money.
those two fights and that's it. Like you could after that you could retire.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna see from Pereira. I think he's done the most amazing, like he's had the most amazing run in UFC, in my opinion. Right, this is his fourth time, the fifth time or fourth time defending the title, fighting for the title in a span of a year. If you look at it, right, how many fights has he had in the span
He's
of
the
a year?
most active champion.
Yeah,
there has been. So
exactly, and I think this isn't going to be an easy fight. This is his toughest challenge, and he knows it's his toughest challenge. We all know it's his toughest challenge, but we're going to see what happens, man. We're going to see what happens. It's going to be an interesting fight.
Listen, bro, Pereira ain't no Johnny Walker, brother. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, no, you're right, but I'm going with Pereira, man. I'm picking Pereira. I think Pereira gets it done here, but we got to break down these fights. We got to let the people know both sides, right, where their path to victories could be, how this fight can play out, and what we think, right? And we think Pereira is going to win.
We could be wrong.
Like I said, we could be wrong. This man can come out, like I said, this man can come out like Magomed Ankalaev and just take him down and control him, bro, and get the finish. So
what if Alex comes in and he's injured and hasn't told anybody? And
exactly, and we've seen that happen where fighters don't disclose they're injured, they're sick. In the Khalil Roundtree fight, after the fact, what did he say? He's like, "Hey, I was sick throughout this whole training camp. I wasn't my best. I didn't feel good in the fight, but I still, mustered out a win. I went 4 rounds with Khalil Roundtree. So it's a possibility. These fighters don't disclose when they're sick. Anthony Hernandez 2 weeks ago, what did he say? That he was coming off of medication, that it wasn't his best performance against Brendan Allen. Sean O'Malley, what did he say against Merab? Oh, I was hurt, right?
Similar.
Yeah, so you never know, man. There's a lot of variables that we don't know, that we don't see, but we have to break down these fights for what we know and what we see. Yeah, we're both going Pereira here.
He's done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 main event fight. He's been fighting now for close to 3 years and some change.
Yeah, and another thing that I forgot to mention, a lot of people on X, like I go back and forth with them. They're saying that, Ankalaev's southpaw stance is gonna pose a threat to him, brother. Jamal Hill was a southpaw. Khalil Roundtree is a southpaw. Like, what are we talking about? Let's just see what happens, man. Let's see what happens.
Look, but the reality is this: like, I'm not discrediting the abilities of Magomedov, but it's
he's good. He's good.
Pereira is. It's like Conor. Like when Conor started that featherweight division, bro, it was just different. Izzy caught him, but and that's the difference. Izzy caught him, but Izzy had to absorb a ton of damage, and then that's the man. Also, he caught him, but he was cutting too much weight. That's why his chin went away.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then we can criticize Pereira that there is times where he does get a little bit reckless and he is liable to getting hit. So I think he gets it done here, man. I think he's been preparing for this. I think he's been trolling a lot. Like he's showcasing, on X, on his Instagram, that he's grappling in the snow and stuff like that. But I think he's taking this very serious. He knows the threat that's at hand here, and I think we're gonna be able to, really see how good he is on the ground. Right, we're gonna learn a lot.
Pereira's the pick.
There you have it. That is our full card breakdown for UFC 313. As always, we drop our picks on X following uploading our video. We also drop our bets, our prop bets, our parlays, which have been hitting. Make sure you follow us on X. We will drop that tomorrow or Friday. Make sure you stick around for the full fight analysis. We do those every fight card. People seem to love that. They're not able to watch the fight. They're not able to be up to date. We give you the full round by round analysis for free. We don't put a paywall. We don't have a website. We just do it on X for you to enjoy and for you to see. We also upload YouTube shorts giving you the outcome of the fight with spoiler alert so you don't get upset if you want to rewatch it later. But we upload that via short as well. So we're giving you all this content, all these updates. Make sure you show some love. Make sure you follow us. We are growing this thing. Shout out to the JRNE for the merchandise. I'm excited for this card. Any parting words, my man?
Rugged, brother. We'll be live on Saturday night. Excited for the weigh-ins. The weigh-ins are going to tell a story. Let's see what's the story, baby.
Let's see what's the story. Love what you love. Do what you do. Peace.